Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome to the official start of Project 80s. Um, this is the review part, and I'm going to do the whole movies together thing by year. But I'm starting with 1980, so I had three movies I got to do. Two of them are comedies, one's not. And I'm doing Airplane, and I want to put out an apology to Big LT because we had to. I didn't realize this till I was almost done with the movie. Okay, we talked about before him being here when I review this, and he was gonna do the gag at the beginning, pop out and go, "So when I tell you, we're all rooting for you," and then I was gonna pause it, so he can sit down. I don't know. Maybe pausing isn't. I don't know. But then he was gonna have to stand in the bathroom the whole time, and then come back out at the end when I was finished. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. I just want to tell you, we're all counting on you. We're gonna do that gag. I was look, he kept switching things. Okay, he's supposed to be here last week, uh, Wednesday, snow. Okay, and then it was supposed to be he was coming here on Friday. Then he changed it because the weather's going to be back. He's going to come here today. Well, the weather's going to be better on Friday, so he's coming on Friday. So, yeah, headache for me. But anyway, it doesn't matter because I'm here reviewing Airplane for you. I need a drink first. I know I've been bringing a drink to my reviews. I have a drinking problem, okay? Anyway, Airplane tells the story of Ted Stryker, who is fallen in love with this woman named Elaine, and he's messed up in his relationship and he wants her back. So he's a former Air Force pilot who never wanted to get near a plane again, and so he goes on, but he follows her onto the plane. She's a stewardess, or as they would say now, flight attendant. You know, I keep hearing them say stewardess, stewardess. I'm like, oh, nowadays it'd be flight attendant, flight attendant, flight attendant, that sort of thing. but yeah. So he follows her on there to try to get her back. But wouldn't you know it, during the flight, a lot of people start getting sick, including the two pilots and the navigator. And so there's only one hope left to fly the plane, Ted Stryker. So that's our movie. But this is not what I described is like, oh, you think this is going to be, this is like those Airport 76 or whatever they're called. Those movies. Oh, it's a disaster movie. No, it's a comedy. Excuse me. It's a spoof comedy, and it's got Robert Hayes, Julie Haggerty, Leslie Nielsen, Leslie Nielsen, Peter Graves, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There's a cameo by Jimmy Walker. You know, Dynamite. He's a window washer. Is that Jimmy Walker? I never noticed that before. But yeah, and there's various other celebrities. The guy from Unsolved Mysteries, Robert Stack. He's in this. Excuse me, I need another drink. All right, so for me to go through this entire movie shot for shot, like I usually do, top the plot. Hold on a minute. So for me to go through this movie like I usually do, talking plot stuff, it's not going to do it justice. There are so many. It's going to be very hard for me to do. There are so many gags in this movie. There's not just like comedy gags with people telling jokes. There's stuff in the background that you if you gotta pay attention or you're gonna miss it. Like I said with Jimmy Walker being in the movie, I never noticed that before. He's at the beginning where the two captains, two co-pilots, talking to each other. You can see him in the air window. He's up there and he's washing the window, and then he lifts up the top of the plane like it's a car hood, checks the oil with the dipstick, and it's just like, what? And then he falls down he tries to close it, and he bounces off of it and falls down. Ah! You kind of miss that, except for the scream, maybe. You know. And there's like, guys, this movie's PG, right? Movie's PG. Got some tits in here. There's 2 tit gags. There's one where the thing's just shaking and you see this woman's in her blouse or her shirt doing that. And then there's one where everyone starts panicking. There's this woman, lovely pair of breasts, just come up. You don't see the face. And it's like, and again, first time I watched this movie was with my mother, who had only seen this on TV. Now, I think I was in high school when she bought the DVD. But, again, much like with Jaws, it's a little weird when you know, you're not used to something. You see it on TV all the time. You're not used to it. Right? Right. So, yeah, the whole plot is around the fact that people on this are eating. They eat the fish, and the fish has some kind of poison. They get food poisoning, and so everyone who eats fish gets sick, and they like pass out. I guess that's how I've never gotten that bad food poisoning. It usually only gives me the shits when I get food poisoning. I think I've ever puked, maybe once. Usually I only get the shits, but anyway, yeah. And the actors in this, okay, the actors do a great job. The best thing about this movie is that this is a comedy spoof where the entire cast treats it as if it is a serious thriller film. Every line is delivered straight-faced. Every gag is done. It's funny, but it's still done in a serious way. Best of this, of course, is Leslie Nielsen, who delivers his lines very well. And the actors are able to come off very serious. It's a very serious situation, but there's a lot of seriousness to it, and there's a lot of gags in the back. I messed up it's a very serious situation, but there's a lot of gags as well. If one thing is hit and miss, I would say it's the character of Johnny. There are some gags with him, but upon thinking about it, the funniest one is one that my family always quote. Johnny, what can you make of this? I'd make a hat, I'd make a brooch, I'd make a pterodactyl. And there's some things, but there's just, sometimes he goes a little bit too overboard. It's like, too much. Like, I'm a twister. I'm like, okay, sure, but okay, he's just a little bit annoying. And, apparently this character is gay. I don't get that at all. But okay, if that doesn't come off to me like that, but if it does to you, fine. But yeah, and another thing that I'm kind of a negative is the flashback sequences. They show flashbacks. And this movie is treated seriously, but it's a joke. There's gags galore. There's flashback to Ted and Elaine's relationship. And the first one, where they meet each other and they're destined to stay alive, that one's fine. But then they go back again. The whole thing is that he's telling these stories to someone, and it comes back, they're dead or they kill themselves. There's one where he's talking to this old lady about how they meet, and when they come back, she's hung herself. And then he's telling us the second story to this Japanese soldier guy, who's James Hong, by the way, and when they come back, he stabs himself with a katana. And then later, there's another flashback. I think there's one more flashback. There's another time he's talking to some dude who is throwing gasoline on himself and about to light himself on fire. He lights the match and then just sits there when the lady comes and asks if he can fly the plane. Ted, if he can fly the plane. So he leaves. He goes, and then he blows up. Here's the problem with that. As soon as he lit the match, he would blow up. Because gasoline lights on the fumes, not the actual gasoline. Doesn't matter if you make contact with the gasoline itself, it's the fumes that light up. So as soon as he lit that match, he'd blow up. So that gag is not funny when you think practically. There's other stuff that maybe doesn't age so much, like the talk and jive. Peter Graves has a gag with this kid named Joey, and Joey, you ever seen a grown man naked? That's not that has not aged. You ever seen the Gladiator movie? What is I don't know. I'm thirsty again. So and yeah, and there's even like a gag, there's other gags. There's the autopilot whose name is Otto. On the thing. There, right there. And they have a gag with him with a turban. Like, he's up there and he's doing the thing, but then he starts to deflate. So the stewardess, Julie Hagen's character, Elaine, has to blow him back up. And the little thing is in the crotch area, so she has to do that. And you have Liz Nielsen coming in. And to the credit, he still plays it straight. He's like, and then walks out. And it's like, that's probably the goofiest he gets, but he plays it very serious with everything. And then they come back and they're both smoking a cigarette. Even like the Otto's got a little thing. Yeah, it's funny. That's another thing. You have Lloyd Bridges' character who's constantly going, "Guess I picked the wrong day to quit smoking. Guess I picked the wrong week to quit drinking. Guess I picked the wrong day to stop amphetamines. Guess I picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue." If he's doing all that stuff, he's got more problems than an airplane crash, let me tell you. The one line that gets me is, hey Johnny, how about some coffee? No, thank you. Yeah, he wants coffee, but And then the whole thing with Rex Kramer taking a cigarette, throwing it out the window, and what blew up? When you try to put common sense in this movie, it just doesn't work. It was directed by the Jim Abrams and the Zucker brothers. About the screen, so that but I think it's done very well. Like I said, the only thing I have a problem with is the flashback stuff. I think it goes on too long. Like, you're watching this, and I know it's a comedy, but you're more interested in what's going on with the plane. Are they gonna make it? Crash? What's going on? And then they do these flashbacks that have nothing to do with it. They show you the backstory with Ted and Elaine and all that, and what happened. And I don't know. It's important information, but it slows the movie down. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So overall, I'd say that this movie is actually not that bad. It's one of the better comedies of the 80s. It's a legendary from, I'm going to say it's pretty good. There's not much to say, He does end up landing the plane, and then they do this thing at the end. There's a gag with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar where he says he's not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Okay. I could talk about the gag with the co-pilots and the navigator. Okay, the captain's name is Clarence Over, and then the pilots are Roger and Victor. All right, so when he's talking on the radio, Roger, what? Over, huh? Roger, what? Like that kind of thing. And I didn't get the Over thing until later when they call his wife Mrs. Over. I'm like, okay. Also, she has a horse. In some of these guys, I don't get the horse. And there's a thing where they go to get Captain Kramer, and the guy's dog mauls this dude, and then there's a terribly backlit shot, kind of like with the early James Bond movies, where you see it's a rear projection. And it's terrible. They do this thing with like Native Americans coming in, and it's like, what? I don't know. It's very weird. But I would say it's pretty good, and a nice start to Project 80s. So, what are your thoughts on Airplane when it comes to Let Me Share, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.